How's it going, everyone? NeedleMouse here. The classic Sonic games are loved by most everyone, myself included, and who can really blame us? These games are amazing. Most of them anyway. Games such as Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles are often seen as some of the best in the franchise, but here's a really interesting question. What came next? Most people overlook the period of time between Sonic 3's release and the release of the first real 3D Sonic game, Sonic Adventure. This was an interesting period of time, as Sonic would see many spin-offs, some being actually pretty good, and others being, well. But there was one really interesting game that came out during this time period. One that way too many people sleep on and completely forget. The time Knuckles had his own adventure. Knuckles' Chaotix. Not only is it the only 32-bit Sonic game to my knowledge, this was also the game to introduce some of the most beloved Sonic characters of all time. But many people quite dislike the gameplay, and say it can be clunky and annoying to control, as well as the main gimmick of the game being just stupid or bad. I personally disagree though. In fact, I believe that the Knuckles' Chaotix team mechanic is awesome, actually. But first, let's get a little background. After the release of Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic entered his first dark age, as I like to call it. During the time period of 1994 to 1998, Sonic wasn't really making good games, nor were they well received. There were loads of spin-offs for other Sega consoles and add-ons, and most of them were bad. Like, really bad. Amid said consoles and add-ons though, there was one that many people don't know about. The 32X. This add-on would boost the power of the Sega Genesis and allow it to play 32-bit games. And while an actual Sonic game would never come out on this console system, we did get a spin-off. Knuckles' Chaotix came out in April of 1995 in the United States, and the game was a commercial failure, as well as being received pretty poorly. Many people criticize the very same part of the game I really enjoy, that being the team mechanic. Originally, Knuckles' Chaotix wasn't even supposed to be a Knuckles spin-off game. In fact, it was originally called Sonic Crackers. Yeah, that name is kind of concerning, but in the level found in said game, you can play as Sonic and Tails, using the same exact tether mechanic that the Chaotix do. But eventually, this game would be scrapped and repurposed into Knuckles' Chaotix. Sonic would be remade as Muddy the Armadillo, which you can clearly see as the two share very similar animations. And many believe that this glitched version of Knuckles the fans have dubbed the Echidna is in fact Tails, or a corrupted version of the two-tailed fox. Knuckles' Chaotix would have 5 stages, but unlike most Sonic games, there would be 5 acts in each stage, the last one ending with a boss fight. This is the part of the video where I usually review each and every zone and make a cool intro for it, but this particular video isn't about the game as a whole, it's about the main gimmick of the tethers. Now, Sonic is known for momentum-based gameplay, good old slopes and spin dashing to gain speeds and rocketing yourself off. Knuckles' Chaotix plays around with that same exact momentum, still having slopes and momentum gaining objects, but it also introduced another momentum-based gimmick, those being these ring tethers. Here's how it works. Knuckles' Chaotix has 5 playable characters, and you play as one character who is bound with a tether to another. You can't switch characters on the flies like in Sonic Heroes, but you can when hitting these item boxes. The interesting part about these tethers is that they stretch. The magical energy that binds the rings together is like a rubber band. You can use yourself and your second character to stretch the tether until it's taut, and when you release it, you rocket yourself off at crazy fast speeds. And if you combine that with these half pipes and slopes, it becomes so much fun. This gimmick also works vertically, allowing you to use the other character's momentum to continually go upwards. These tethers become especially fun when you take into consideration the moveset of each character. Take Knuckles himself for example. Using his gliding and climbing, you can then jump off walls and use Knuckles' gliding momentum to propel yourself forward. And if anything, you always have your spin dash. Espio has a way cooler spin dash, as well as the ability to be able to walk on walls, cause you know, he's a chameleon. Look at these things. Aren't they so cool? You know, I used to have a chameleon. It died. And I was depressed for a long time. And dang, I miss him so much. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Espio's moveset. This also helps with the momentum gaining quite a lot, as jumping off a high wall and hitting a slope well will grant you a massive boost in speed. Vector has by far the largest spin dash of all the 5 characters, and he can also climb on walls. The Croc has this ability to propel himself through the air using this cool move. It's a pseudo glide of sorts. It's more straight than Knuckles is, but it doesn't last very long at all. Mighty the Armadillo is by far the worst to play as, and it's kind of disappointing as I really enjoy the character. He has a spin dash of course, but his extra move is quite underwhelming. It's a wall kick. It can help with the momentum because when you jump off a wall and then curl up, it can be very helpful, but in general, it just is not that good. And while comparing it to the hammer drop in Sonic Mania, which kills all momentum, for the game that it's in, it is a lot more fun and useful. The last of the 5 playable characters is God Incarnate, a being so powerful he literally breaks this game. Charmy B. Yeah. From first looks, he doesn't look very fun to play as. He doesn't have the spin dash and you can't even curl up into a ball. But, man, the flying. You can literally fly wherever and however you want with no constraints at all, and it's insanely fast. And then using the tether to propel yourself forward even faster, Charmy is genuinely so much fun to play as. Using all these characters' movesets and the momentum that we all know and love creates such an interesting dynamic. And sure, some characters like Mighty aren't that fun, the other 4 completely make up for his lacking moveset. The level design itself is actually very similar to the Genesis games, but it also takes into account this new gimmick and builds its levels around stretching the tethers and driving yourself forwards at great speeds. While the speed never reaches the speeds of games like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3, this game is still so much fun. In fact, this game clears Sonic 1 and Sonic City with ease in my opinion. Knuckles' Chaotix is an interesting piece in Sonic history that was never re-released after almost 30 years of its existence, which is honestly really sad to me. It's a great game, and more than deserves another chance. This game is really good, and the team mechanic, the thing that many people quite dislike, is actually really cool if you know how to use it. Just like with any really good Sonic game, mastery is key. But anyway, that's it for today's video. It's a bit of a shorter one, but forgive me. I released 2 videos back to back that were at least over 20 minutes long, and we don't talk about that Unleashed video. Next week though, get ready for a banger that might actually surpass my Unleashed video in terms of quality. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao!